integrated. So we have, in this community, you have a very important role in making sure that the services for co-occurring substance abuse and mental health problems are provided and that they're integrated. It's not just 12-step plus meds. That isn't how it works. And NAMI must be at the forefront, has been and must stay at the forefront of this. So, one last thing. Gail had mentioned this earlier. The expansion of beds. Why don't we just get more beds? I mean, just take some money and put them in beds and take it out of something else. There's a reason for it. It's not just inertia. It has to do with the way we are funding mental health in California. What's the big new funding source?
Affordable Care Act, Obamacare.
Well, affordable care, that's a big thing about how we use our funding. That's federal. But California was having a funding crisis for mental health. We have something called realignment. I won't get any more than that. But we had a new source of funding, which NAMI was at the forefront in below these almost a decade ago now. Remember Prop 63, the millionaire's tax for mental health? That has grown and been wonderful. A third of mental health budget in LA is it was called MHSA, Mental Health Services Act, Prop 63, the tax on millionaires to support mental health. But it came with some strings. The biggest string is what? No involuntary care. So that pretty much takes off the table some of the most expensive resources we use. Acute hospitals, no funding. Can't do it if they're locked. And locked INDs. Can't do it. So actually, most of the department's budget for mental health that is old-fashioned realignment, it goes into beds now. It's all spent. We do have MHSA, which has been wonderful. We have some great programs, but we can't use it. I'll talk about some legislation, but right now, we can't use it for anything that is involuntary. And so we have to develop some creative alternatives. The department is doing this. We have something used to be called step-down, it's now called enhanced residential housing, which will allow us to expand our beds. They're secure beds, but they're not locked. We're pushing a little bit on the envelope. But we have MHSA funding, and we intend to bring several hundred more beds online. And they won't be for everybody, but they will be a step down that will move people from INDs to make more IND use, so people can go to these EHR. And if we move people from INDs, people who are stuck in acute hospital beds can move. And if we can move the people from acute hospital beds, we can get people out of the ERs where they're stuck and into the hospital. So we think this expanded capacity of unlocked beds will help. But MHSA is not a solution right now to this. So we have a lot of work to do, which brings us to some legislation. There's a few bills right now that are illegal. One, just congratulations, AB 1194. These are all bills that deal with people who have really serious problems. Now, probably everybody is the one section of welfare institutions code that everyone knows and knows before. 72-hour hold is called what? 5150. It's welfare institutions 5150. People have been tinkering with this in good ways and bad. So what we found a couple of years ago, and NAMI was at the forefront of this, was that people were adding something to the criteria for detention. They're just folk-based. So probably most people in this room know what the criteria are. Anybody?
Danger to self or others.
Danger to self,
Or others.
danger to others, and greatly disabled, right? Meaning unable to provide a free clothing shelter. Done. That's it. That's what's in. But here's something else that has crept into this over the I mean, I'm looking at you. You're not beating anybody up as I'm looking at you. Of course, everyone's saying you were beating someone up, but I don't see it. You seem like a nice person. In a way, it's sort of odd, but this led to this has led to many bad outcomes, but especially the Santa Barbara outcome a couple of years back with a college student, where his family knew he was dangerous, but the police came and they had been taught that if you don't see it, you can't use that as a criteria. It had to be what's called imminent. AB 1194 was successfully passed with the efforts of NAMI'S, CPA, California Psychiatric Association, and others, which is a weird thing, but it's inserted right in the LPS. Do you notice imminent harm is not in here? That's because it's not a criteria. It says almost that in the new 5150. So it says it doesn't have to be imminent, and people who are first responders have to ask the family and say they asked them and attest that they took history from family. And if that has happened, maybe many tragedies, including this recent one in Santa Barbara, would not have happened. So that's a big victory. Another thing that's been two really big changes in 5150 did that. Here's another, I'm going to go to a small one and then another big one. So no one's aware of it. AB 1273. What's that? But here's the deal. This is one of those pushing the envelope for MHSA. So communities have been using MHSA to build what are called alternative crisis centers, CSUs, crisis stabilization units. We call them urgent care centers in LA. They're like ERs for people with emergent mental health problems, but they're not connected. They don't have to be connected to a hospital because they're medically stable. Well, there's one problem. They're locked. And so counties have been living in fear that the auditor controller is going to come and take everyone to prison for using MHSA money for doing this. What AB is it sponsors Morlock in Orange County. It says is don't worry, you won't go to prison if you set up a program like this. Even if the program delivers locked services, MHSA funding can be used for the voluntary component of those services. So I think it's going to pass, and I'm just taking a sigh of relief. So here's the last one, which is AB 1300. AB 1300 is very controversial. I don't know if anybody saw the Daily News editorial a couple of days ago, a couple of others. NAMI has an oppose on this, but the LA County is neutral on it. There are other institutions that are supporting it, others that are opposing it. But what it basically, to cut to the chase, it's an attempt to deal with boarding of psych patients in emergency rooms with no place to go. It says that emergency room physicians can be detained under 5150. It raises a whole set of issues. What it raises for LA, though, are two things, and this is just things to consider as we try to make this bill better, either now or later. Because, some of these things, nobody wants people to be stuck in emergency rooms, not getting the care they need. But here's the things we need in LA. If someone is detained on a 5150, there's got to be a place for them to go. You can't just say, I put you on a 5150. Well, that's nice. Do I go home with you? What? So, in AB 1300, it's not clear where that person can go. It is clear that if the police put someone on a hold, where do they go?
Yeah.
Oh, no, not a 5150. Here's what the 5150 says. If a cop comes in on someone on a hold to a public hospital, no county, state, or federal official may interfere with the orderly transfer of custody. So there's always a place. Police don't have to go to the hospital and say, oh, please, could you take this person? It's the law. In LA, if someone from a designated facility has a psych unit for someone on hold, it doesn't matter if they have money or not. If you want to be designated as a hospital and you put someone on hold, you have to by default take them. So that's a good thing. But AB 1300 doesn't say where that person would go if an ER doc puts them on hold. There are some solutions, but we need to work on that. The second thing is putting people on hold is great. run out and do something, but we also have to make sure they get the proper care in the proper conditions. For designated units, acute psych hospitals, Department of Mental Health is all over them. I mean, we monitor them, but there's no monitoring for people in ERs, and we have to have that. So those are the legislation that's happening right now. That we need to follow. So AB 1300, follow it closely. I talk a little